Edinburgh, Scotland's capital city. Here, right in the very midst of its tangle of winding streets and stone buildings, suddenly rises a ragged cluster of hills and basalt cliffs. In stark contrast to its urban surroundings, Holyrood Park stands wild and undeveloped, offering visitors a flavour of the country's northern highlands deep in the southern lowland. It was here, in June of 1836, that three young boys hunting for rabbits on the slopes of the extinct volcano known as Arthur's Seat made a bizarre discovery. Among the crags they found a hollow, deliberately hidden behind some pointed sheets of slate. Concealed inside this tiny cave were 17 tiny coffins, each 4 inches long, each one containing a miniature human effigy, carved of Scots pine and carefully dressed in handmade clothes. At a time when belief in demons and witchcraft was still widespread, such a discovery must have been particularly disturbing. Indeed, the populace was sensationalized by the story, and it was seized upon in the newspapers, which immediately declared Holyrood Park a site of demonic worship. Even The Scotsman, a publication noted at the time for its progressive and level-headed style, opened with the headline, "Satanic Spell Manufactory," and noted, "Our own opinion would be, had we not some years ago abjured witchcraft and demonology, that there are still some of the weird sisters hovering about Mushat's Cairn or the Windy Gowl, who retain their ancient power to work the spells of death by entombing the likenesses of those they wish to destroy." Only a few of these coffins survive, the remainder having been destroyed by their discoverers, unaware of the significance of the find, or lost in the intervening years. The remaining 8 reside in the National Museum of Scotland as part of a collection of objects pertaining to witchcraft and superstition. The mystery of who made them and why will likely never be solved. The contemporary journalists' belief that these were black magic artifacts created by witches to cause harm to specific individuals has never been completely ruled out. However, X-rays of the dolls show no signs of pins or ritual damage. Over half a century later, in 1906, another Scotsman article recounted the tale of an elderly lady who recalled that her father, a business owner in the vicinity of Holyrood Park, was, prior to the discovery of the coffins, often visited by a strange deaf-mute man. Following their exhumation in 1836, he approached the businessman and handed him a piece of paper on which was drawn 3 small coffins, each with a date written beneath it: 1837, 1838, and 1840. According to the Scotsman, in the autumn of 1837 a near relative of Mr. B's died, in the following year a cousin died, and in 1840 his own brother died. After the funeral, the deaf-mute man appeared again, walked into Mr. B's office and, glowering at him, vanished, never to return. The author of the article speculates that the deaf-mute was the creator of the coffins, enraged at their discovery and somehow blaming the businessman for their loss, unleashing the forces of the dark arts against him. A more convincing explanation, perhaps, but one no less compelling, is one that will be familiar to long-time followers of Ghastly Tales. That is, that the 17 effigies represent the 17 victims of serial killers William Burke and William Hare. We covered this grisly episode extensively in an installment of our previous series, Ghastly Tales of Scotland. To summarise, in 1827 and 1828, Messrs. Burke and Hare embarked upon a crime spree that escalated from the theft of a corpse to the wholesale murder of men, women, and children in their pursuit of valuable cadavers for the medical schools. Following their arrest and trial, William Burke was executed and Hare released, having turned king's evidence against his companion. Is it possible that someone, perhaps one of the many connected to the murders or the subsequent purchase of the corpses, performed these burials out of sympathy for the victims who never saw a proper burial, or perhaps even to satisfy their own conscience? The dating of the fabric and the clothes of the dolls to sometime around the year 1830 would certainly chime with this. Other theories have linked the coffins to a belief in fairies or cast them as good luck charms, tributes to the executed leaders of a failed political insurrection, or as symbolic burials for sailors lost at sea. What do you think? Post your theories in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for future episodes of Ghastly Guide. If you'd like to see the coffins for yourself, they can be found on the 4th floor of the National Museum of Scotland on Chambers Street. The museum itself is completely free and worthy of a full day's visit on its own. Holyrood Park is a 15-minute walk from there, and although the exact site of the coffin's discovery is no longer known, Arthur's Seat can be ascended by anyone of reasonable fitness within an hour, and offers splendid views over the city and the Firth of Forth. Nearby points of interest include the Surgeons' Hall Museum, featuring a fascinating selection of medical curiosities for the strong of stomach, and both Mary King's Close and the Blair Street Vaults, 2 long-abandoned catacombs steeped in history, and each claimed, by their own tour guides at least, to be the most haunted place in Edinburgh. Edinburgh Castle is also within walking distance and a must-see attraction for tourists, but do be aware of the mysterious phenomenon that will see large quantities of cash disappear from your wallet as you walk across the threshold. Entry to the castle is not cheap. Thanks for watching, and safe travels.